out in the 9th verse, Lo, I come to do thy will. He takes away the first. He takes away the shadows. He blots out the handwriting of ordinances. He blotted out the rituals that were written on tables of stone. Now He's written in the fleshy tables of our heart. He taketh away the first that He may establish the second, the very image. So what's going to take the place of all these sacrifices? A Mass every day and 1 million Catholic churches across the world? I'd like to know how many Catholic churches there are. I'd like to figure out how many sacrifices we're making of Jesus. By the which we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. Not 3 or 4 times in every Roman Catholic church in America, and He's the victim. He's the sacrifice every day. That's not true. He's the sacrifice once for all. And every priest standeth daily, ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices which can never take away sin. They were pointing to Jesus. They were signs. But this man, Christ, after He had offered one sacrifice for sins, forever. No more Roman Catholic Mass. Do you know that the Baptist Church is putting their approval on the Mass? They're putting their approval on the people that slaughtered millions of Christians during the Inquisition. You're approving of that. You're saying, well, John Dillinger used to kill people, but I think he's a good man because he moved next door and he mows his grass. I just need to go over and make friends with him, yeah, and he'll kill you and rob you too. Whoever John Dillinger is. From henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool, for by one offering, not the Mass every day, not every day in the church, in the Catholic Church, for by one offering He hath perfected forever them that are continually sanctified. Hagiadzo. We're going through the fire, and He's perfected us. Whereof the Holy Ghost also is witness to us. For after that He had said before, This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them. Because in the Old Testament, it was put in tables of stone and kept inside the Ark of the Covenant. Notice what we get back to the shadows when we're studying this thing on the Mass. And their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. Now where remission of these is, there's no more offering for sin. Huh? No more offering. Where remission of phesis, A-P-H-E-S-I-S, where a pardoning. See, we were pardoned and released from prison. The spirits in prison were the Gentiles, and we were pardoned. So where there's a pardon for sin, you don't pardon a guy and release him from prison, and after 5 years say, hey, you go over to his house and knock on the door. Hey, I want to give you another pardon. But I already got one. Here it is right here. Yeah, but here's another one. I want to keep pardoning. And comes back the next day. Hey, I want to give you another pardon. You don't get forgiven and forgiven and forgiven and forgiven. He's made us new creatures, and that's the inner man that can't sin. The outer man can't quit sinning, and He's going to insist that the outer man give up after about 25 years of a good beating. Then He goes on to say, Now where remission of these is, there's no more offering for sin, having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Christ. Notice he says, I'm going to establish the second instead of the first. Now the offering is only Christ, isn't it? How can they be offering Christ daily in the Mass when He's the one sacrifice offered once for all? There's no more offering for sin. He's the one sacrifice, and that's applied to our lives. And in order to get rid of the outer man, self has to die, because He's made a brand new inner man in us that can't sin. Whosoever is born of God doth not commit sin. His seed remaineth in him. He cannot sin because he's born of God. Let's read the rest of this here. So what he's doing, he's showing. There was a shadow. There was this, in this shadow, there was the tabernacle. There was the Holy of Holies. There's the Ark of the Covenant. And that Ark of the Covenant was sprinkled on the 10th day of the 7th month. 7th month, 10th day, 7th month. It was sprinkled by a high priest. And here's the veil. And there's the table of showbread. And here's the altar of incense. There's the 7 candlesticks. Here's the brazen sea. Here's Solomon's porch. And this is the altar where the daily sacrifices were offered. And every sacrifice offered here, and every sacrifice that was offered, and every time the blood was poured out on this Ark of the Covenant, once a year, on the 10th day of the 7th month. That's what this is talking about. This was a shadow. This has been blotted out. And now the house of God is us. And the 7 candlesticks are the 7 churches, or the refined church. And the prayers of the saints is the altar of incense. And we being many in one bread and one body. And the washing is the blood of Christ. And the daily altar is the daily cross. And all of this was a shadow, and the very image is the blood of Christ, the daily cross, the church being the bread, we being many are one bread and one body, and the 7th church, 7 being the number of refinement, is the candlesticks and the prayers of the saints according to the 5th chapter of Revelation. That is the altar of incense. This is the shadow, and one time, there's one sacrifice offered once for all. This is the chapter that really just annihilates and devastates this